Okay, so yeah, happy to be here, and I'm just going to spend a little bit of time talking about an app called Seftipin. So what is it? It looks a little bit like that if you open it on your screen. It's a map-based online and mobile app. It's available online as well. And the idea is for community safety. So for example, if you look there, you can see pins. Each one of those pins has been done by somebody. So you can actually stand anywhere and do an audit. Audit gives you a score, and I'll come to the questions there in a minute. The reason for having Seftipin is a premise that if you can measure safety, it can cause behavior change. So the concept is that, let's say, for example, if you're living in a place which is less safe versus some other place which is more safe, it will at some point in time impact property prices if the score matters, because people would rather stay in a safer location. So the idea is that today there is no measure of safety. You can actually say, yes, this place is safer because it has XYZ, but you don't really say it is safer to what score. So that's pretty much the idea. So if you notice those pins over there, each pin is given a score, and of course we are still at early stages here. So the features of Seftipin are as follows. The first is there are certain things for personal safety. So we have a tracking feature. It's actually a tracking feature, it's not a stalking feature, which means that it's not something which once it's turned on in your system, people can follow you whenever they want, wherever they want. The onus is on the trackee to basically switch it on or off so that other people can see where they are, and it shows you where people are and so on. It gives you things like important numbers to call. We feed that in for every city that we are partnering with. You can locate nearby important areas like hospitals, police stations. You can get routes to get there, and based on audits, you can see how safe a place is. We also have a feature for community engagement, so you can actually set up a little circle of interest and see every pin that's ever happened there, and you'll get it in reverse chronological order. So you'll get to know if you ever go into a circle or a neighborhood which belongs to you, you'll be able to see if there are any new posts in that, so you can comment on it, you can agree, disagree, and so on. In addition to audits, we also have harassment, hazards, and feelings. So we allow you to enter a number of things. We've been using this for advocacy. So we have an analytics engine. People are using Seftipin data. The police have been using it. Other people have been using it to look to see how the community is and try and do things for improvement. Why is it unique? Because I was given a set of questions. I'm trying to answer a few of them. So first is that the typical safety app is an emergency app. We also have an emergency feature. That's not our best feature. But because it's a complex app. An emergency feature is best if it was the only button you ever have to press. Ours, you have to go one level down. It's not a great emergency app, but it covers all the things that are required. So today there isn't any other app which attempts to quantify safety. Okay, so that to us that is unique. The second is it's complete because we have a whole bunch of features. And the third, which is interesting, is it collects nighttime data. Now here, this is actually an interesting issue because traditionally nobody collects nighttime data. If you look at Google Earth or Google Maps or anything else, all the data or all the maps are daytime maps. If you do a city view, it's a daytime city view. There's no night view. Because a night view, so nobody's even investing money in collecting night information. But safety is an issue after dark. So the definition of actually the way we are looking at safety audits is things after dark till about 10 o'clock. So it's even the collection of nighttime data is a big deal. How are we doing outreach? We do some online marketing, we do some print and radio. As you can see the number of ads, these were all put up by HT. They were a partner for a period of time. So they've done all these promotions for us. We work with partners. These are typically NGOs, but they're also cities. So for example, we do have a partnership with the city of Bogota. We have a partnership, I think that's in Colombia. We have a partnership with the city of Jakarta. So these are places where the cities themselves take the app on, and they are the people who are the recipients of the information and so on. And finally, we are looking at syndication to portals. So for example, we are already running a pilot with one portal which is a property portal. So when you now go to that property portal, you can actually see safety scores, which is a composite score based on the information that we have. So that's another way of spreading it out. These are our partnerships in Delhi and Northeast, Pune, Kolkata, Bengaluru, Chennai, Kerala, Bogota, and Jakarta. In all of them, and these little round circles with the numbers in them show the number of pins that there are in that location, the number of audits that were done in those cities, because if you aggregate it on our map, that's how it appears. We've been doing a few impact projects just to see whether there is a social benefit possible through it. So there's a project which has been Christian Salamat. We're doing that with the Southwest Delhi Police. We have something called a safety chowpal. The idea here is that if you want to get the poorer, the sort of more economically challenged sections of society to work with this, they may not all have mobile computers, or at least they may not have, they'll have mobiles, everybody does. They may not have smartphones. So the way this works is that you actually have an online interface. People can come in, report issues, and those issues can be posted, and based on that, that can be used for advocacy. So that's the safety chowpal idea. Jagori is a well-known women's NGO in Delhi. We've been doing work with on city planning with students actually. So Ansal Institute has a architecture and a city planning kind of a department. So we work with those students to do projects. We work with government, two governments right now, two city governments. And we are now doing a project which is with bus terminals, with DTC, to basically just go and audit the different bus terminals and say, look at what is the status of safety so they can improve it. What else are we looking at coming up with? One of them is Seftipin Lite. Currently, so if you see the screen next to, the screen that is shown over there, that's the new user interface. It's it's slightly cooler looking and it's more contemporary. But the Seftipin Lite has been required because our current app is pretty heavy, and especially for low-end Android phones, it just doesn't work very effectively. So the Seftipin Lite will have fewer features, but it's built native, and it's going to be built and it's going to be available on Android. It's moving into Windows 8. We already have Spanish and English. We are also adding Hindi and Bahasa. We should be adding many more languages, but this is what we have coming up right now. And we have a few new features coming up. One of them is a score. So what you saw is a pin score, okay, which is a score at a point. But wherever you stay or any place, I have to give it a composite score based on all the pins in that neighborhood. So I'll have to say DLF phase 2 has what score, or something like that. So this is actually the safety score which will also be there. So for a locality or for a neighborhood, you'll get a composite score. Then there's the safest route. We are using the data that we have to also tell people which is the safest route to go from one place to another. So you can actually look at different routes. These are routes which will be served up by Google, but you can see which is the safest one. And finally, we are adding a heat map. So today what happens is that there are places where there are just so many pins that if you go look at it, you won't know what to do because it's just a mass of pins. So now what we are doing is we are just going to have a sort of a heat map option. So you'll be able to see red spots, green spots. So you'll know which areas of the city are safer, which areas of the city are less safe, and you'll be able to see it at all levels of detail. And we are coming up with a new website as well. Finally, we were asked to talk about challenges. I think one challenge is increasing crowdsourced audits. Okay, does that mean 5 minutes are up?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you can continue.
Okay, so I'll just finish this. This is my last slide. So one is that we wanted to increase crowdsourced audits, which is today we have a fair amount of our audits which are done by people who actually go out who are auditors, trained by us and so on. The crowdsourced audits are still relatively low. It takes 1 minute to do a crowdsourced audit, but 1 minute is a long time, we realize. I didn't realize that when I came up with an app. I'm not that social media connected, as it were. But 1 minute seems a long time. So for somebody to stand in a place and answer 9 questions over a minute is rather more than they're prepared to spend. So that's one of our challenges right now. The second is, of course, establishing the safety score. This includes actually academic validity of the same thing, which is we are running a lot of statistics today, and we're trying to figure out exactly how can we establish a valid safety score which can be used globally. This is actually the same thing, which is crowdsourced versus auditor-based. And finally, rapid scaling in new cities. So we are looking at some plans by which we'll use actually photographs to look at evidence, to be able to actually put pins and so on. And then we were asked, what are we looking for? One is that we have some questions on nighttime data capture. Nobody is doing it actually. So while we are doing it at specific points, because nighttime data, even if you get a visual, it's very dark. It's very difficult to figure out what is happening, where and how and so on. So the idea is that we've tried to use nighttime cameras. That makes it very bright, and makes it generally yellow. So we have those challenges which we are working with. Anyone who has a solution, that would be wonderful. And then, of course, anyone who is interested in improving safety in their cities, we are very open to looking at new ways of using the app. Thank you.